Okay, so now we're on the back side of your notes. We're going to talk through a couple of the theorems. Okay, so theorem 12.2 is your surface area of a right prism. So a right prism, remember, that means that the lateral edges are perpendicular to the base. So the surface area of a right prism, we're going to use A as our apothem of the base. Capital B is the area of the base. Capital P is the perimeter of the base. And H is the height. So what we talked about on the front of our notes was, remember, surface area is always going to be 2 of the bases plus the perimeter times height. Remember, you can think about that with a net. Okay, now if we are dealing with a prism where the bases are regular polygons, then instead of 2b, we can use apothem times perimeter, and then again plus perimeter times height. So let's talk about this. This is again just going to be for when the base is a regular polygon. If it's a square or a triangle, you have a million ways to find the area of a square or a triangle, so you don't have to use this there. But apothem times perimeter, now remember, a regular polygon is half apothem times perimeter, so if we have 2 of those, then it's just going to be 1 apothem times perimeter will give you 2 base areas. Then we'll add the perimeter times height for the lateral area. So let's do an example. We need to find the surface area of the right prism. So let's first start with the base. The bases are equilateral triangles, 6 inches each. So let's drop a height. Now I'm going to resketch this out down here so that you can see what I'm talking about. If that's 6, we know that's going to be 3. We also know that since this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, that height there is going to be 3 square root 3. Okay, so now remember, surface area equals 2 times the base plus perimeter of the base times height. So here, 2 times the base, so the base is going to be a triangle, so it's going to be 1/2 times the base of the triangle, which is 6, times the height of the triangle, which is 3 square root 3. We'll add the perimeter. The perimeter of that triangle is going to be 6, 6, and 6, so 18, times the height, which will be 8. So again, this is 2 times the base, which is a triangle, plus the perimeter of the base times the height. Plugging that all into my calculator, I got 175.18 inches squared. Okay, so for number 2, we are not given a picture, which means it would probably be helpful to make one. Find the surface area of a right rectangular prism, which remember that means that the bases are rectangles, with height 5, length 11, width 4. So I'm going to sketch myself a right rectangular prism, which you know is really just a box. And there we go. Okay, so height is 5, length is 11, width is 4. Now, nice thing about a right rectangular prism is it doesn't really matter which side you say is the base, but I'm going to say that that's the base, and that's because they match. Those two match. If it had been a cube, it wouldn't have mattered, but we need the ones that match, so be careful. Okay, so surface area equals 2 times the base plus perimeter times height. So surface area equals 2 times the base is going to be 20, 5 times 4, plus perimeter, 5 plus 5 plus 4 plus 4. It's going to be 18 times the height, which is 11, which is going to give me 238, don't forget your units, feet squared, because we're talking about surface area. Okay, so that is all surface area of a right prism, 2 times the base plus perimeter times height. Okay, so let's go down to theorem 12.3. This is surface area of a right cylinder. Now, this really is pretty much the same thing. Just like before, it's still 2 times the base plus perimeter times height, but since there's circles, we actually know a little bit more than that. The area of a circle is pi r squared, so instead of 2b, it's 2 pi r squared. Now, the perimeter of a circle would be the circumference, 2 pi r. So instead of p, I can put 2 pi r, keep the h. So just remember, this is the exact same thing that we did up above. It's just we have area of a circle and circumference. So let's use it. Number 3. The surface area of the right cylinder. Surface area equals 2 pi, r is 4 squared, plus 2 pi, again, r is 4, and h is 5. Okay, so that's going to give me 16 times 2, 32 pi, plus 20 times 2, 40 pi, which equals 72 pi, and that would be meters squared. So that would be the answer in terms of pi. If you ask for a decimal answer, you can just plug that in, 22.619 meters squared, and that just depends on what the question is asking for. I would keep your answers in terms of pi for a lot of problems, because we're going to get to problems where that's going to make your life easier. But if it asks for a decimal answer, give the decimal answer. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and do number 4 on your own. You're going to have to draw your own little cylinder. So pause the video and try number 4. Okay, so for number 4, I got 180 pi centimeters squared, which equals approximately 565.49 centimeters squared. Okay, so I would like for you to now try 5 and 6. These are a little bit trickier, but I think you can do them. So Pause the video, do number 5 and 6. Remember, 2 times the base plus perimeter times height. Draw yourself a picture if need be. Okay, so let's talk through number 5. So the surface area of a right hexagonal prism, all edges measuring 10 inches. So that means that's 10, that's 10, that's 10. The height is 10. So with a hexagonal prism, remember we actually have a special formula when we're dealing with a regular polygon. So apothem times perimeter plus perimeter times height, which is really just 2 times the base. So to find the apothem, I used my 30, 60, 90 right triangle rule. I plugged everything in, and I got 1,119.62 inches squared. Okay. So number 6 was a little bit trickier because you're kind of working backwards. But you just plug everything in. So I was told that I need to find the height. The radius is twice the height, so I called my radius 2h, and my height is h. So my surface area, 108 pi, equals 2 times the base, 2 pi r squared, but plug in 2h for r, plus perimeter, which is circumference, times height, again plugging in 2h for r. And then it actually ends up working out very nicely, and it comes all down to h equals 3. H won't equal -3 because that doesn't make sense to have a negative height. Okay, so just remember these formulas are what we're using when we're dealing with right prisms, right cylinders, 2 times the base plus perimeter times height.